girl, welcome back to my channel. I'm back and better than ever. I am here today with a couple things to tell you about, to suggest to you, because my favorite thing to do in October is to read novellas, because I feel like I'm just packing like the maximum amount of spookiness into my life. Novellas also, like, I just really love them. I feel like it is the perfect, what do they call it? The perfect vehicle for a great horror story, because an author has to be skilled enough to, well, that's the thing, they have to be skilled enough. But I read a lot of really fucking great novellas because I love them because they're short. They challenge the author to put together a story and make it impactful in such a short amount of time. Not quite as short as a short story. So there is a little more room to play around and to really flesh things out. And goddamn, I love a novella. So I'm really trying to pick things that I haven't talked about a ton. Maybe some you've heard me suggest before. Maybe some you haven't. So anyways, I picked some to tell you about today. First one up here is a classic, Cycle of the Werewolf by Stephen King. This is a novella. It has some pictures. It goes through an entire year where this werewolf comes to this small town and the townsfolk are being attacked and nobody knows who this is, right? But they do find out. I loved the pictures of in this. I love a werewolf story. This was eventually made into a movie, The Silver Bullet. So if you've seen that, you could still read this because, like, this is still great. Mysterious, trying to figure out who in this small town, because that's another thing, is like, anytime there's a small town, I don't know how many of you have lived in a small town. Probably a lot of you, because there are so many small towns out there. But you get to know people very well, and you get to know things about people that, you know, in a bigger city, you could be more anonymous. And I feel like the way people live in small towns is much different. You want to get to know your neighbor. Here, like, I know my next door neighbor really well, and the people kitty corner from us, I know them fairly well. The people across the street, I've lived here for 8 years almost, and like I've only met them like once. The people across the street from us this way, don't fucking know them at all. And that would not happen like where I grew up. So it is much different. So there's like, that's my point is, there's a small town dynamic where it's like these people know it has to be one of them and they cannot figure out who it is, which would be torturous, I imagine. A great dynamic, in my opinion. I love that. So next on my list is The Strange Things We Become and Other Dark Tales by LaRocca. This, I believe, is published under a different title now. It's called The Trees Grew Because I Bled There, which is the story of one of these, or the title of one of these stories. So this is a short story collection. It is novella length. I feel like Eric is really great at crafting a short story, a novella, and making it really impactful. Eric has really like lyrical, beautiful writing. It is really just like a pleasure to read his stuff. And because it's novella length, it's not one of those honkers where you're like, okay, can we get this done with? You know, like most short story collections, I don't get along well with, whether, even if that's an anthology, because I feel like there's not enough good ones to like carry me through the book. But this one, excellent, so excellent, loved it so much. 8 stories, they are dark and strange and perfect for your October. Next on my list is What Moves the Dead by Kingfisher. This came out last year, and look at these end pages, first of all. This is a beautiful, disgusting story. In this, we're following a person named Alex who is going back to a family, a group of friends that he grew up with. At this point, it is just the brother and the sister left. There's no other family members, and Alex notices that the sister of this pair is acting very strangely. She's sickly and something's not quite right. And not only that, but the mansion that they live in is really becoming not a place where people should be living. And it seems like it's all kind of tied together. Like, whatever is making the house sick and whatever is making the sister sick is kind of the same entity. And you find out, you know, of course, what it is. This is a loose retelling of The Fall of the House of Usher by Edgar Allan Poe. It's gross. It is really gross. I think this is like the only one of T. Kingfisher's books that I've read where I'm like, oh my god, this is great. This is fantastic. The characters are interesting. The main character, especially Alex, very witty and charming, you know, and a fun person to be around. Next is an oldie but a goodie. This is Hellhound by Ken Greenhall. This is a vintage book. I believe it came out in maybe the 70s. Does it matter to you? I don't know. 1977. And I will start this out with, like, there is things that happen to animals in this that aren't nice, right? So if you are very sensitive to that, I totally understand. This is one you probably want to skip over. However, I would say that I also do not like that. But I think for me, it's like, is it senseless or does it, I don't know, does it, I don't want to say add to the story because it's terrible, but like, is there a reason for this? Does this aid the story in like moving forward? Or is this just somebody being an asshole? And in this case, it does make sense for the story, which makes me a little less sensitive about it. Also, it has been quite a while since I've read this, so I can't really remember if this is something where, because in some books, I will just skip over that. Some books you can't because it's just right there, right? I can't remember what the case is for this either. So if you're terribly sensitive, I understand this is probably one you don't want to read. But in this, we are following a bull terrier named Baxter. And this is a very interesting book because some of this is told from Baxter's perspective as a dog, and he definitely has sinister motives, which, you know, we mostly see dogs in our society as cute, dumb little babies who we love and we kiss on their dumb little faces, right? But Baxter is a little smarter than your typical dog, a little sinister, and he definitely has motives and reasons for doing what he does. Starting as a puppy, doing some bad things. So I really like this book. Actually, thinking about it, it's like, I feel like I've forgotten enough of it to where like I probably need to go back and reread it because I did really enjoy it. And he's, you know, a sociopathic bull terrier. Bull terriers, so cute, so dumb. I love them. But I don't think I would want a Baxter in my house, if I'm being quite honest. Next on my list is Night of the Mannequins by Stephen Graham Jones. This one is so strange, I have to tell you. I really cannot tell you much about this at all because it is one that the surprise of this, of knowing what's going on, will definitely, I think it will hinder your enjoyment of the novel for sure, or the novella, if you know too much about it. So this, we're following Sawyer, and him and his friends kind of have this jokey thing with this mannequin that they found, and he's going to like play this crazy prank on them where they're going to be in the theater and then he disappears and the mannequin's in his place. He's gonna like pull this off. But then things like quickly spiral out of control. The theater thing doesn't work out quite as planned. And then it's just like this thing that gets crazier and crazier and crazier. And you don't really know exactly what's going on. And I love that. And still now I'm thinking about it and I'm like, is this what happened? Or is that what happened? You know, you just don't really know. It's not cut and dry, which I do enjoy. So this was a fantastic novella. So easy to read, so readable. Sawyer is definitely an interesting main character. Okay, and last, this is not a novella, I know, I'm so sorry, but it is a short story collection and it's manga, so it goes down easy, it goes down quickly. This is Shiver by Junji Ito, and this, like I said, is a short story collection. I've talked about this recently, I really liked it. This one has some great stories. Such as like Cursed Used Record, right? There's one about a fashion model and someone strange that she meets. There's one about marionettes. There is one, oh my god, Greased. That's the final story in this. One of the most disgusting things I've ever read. There is one where there are these strange, creepy balloons that have the faces of people on them, and you don't want to find your balloon, is all I'm going to tell you. There's creepy crawlies, there's spooky people, spooky objects, and it's just all around like so great for October. You could read one a day and get it finished in, you know, a week. But really, I think some short story collections, I feel like I need to pause in between them because there is a break and I need to digest what has happened before I can move on, which sometimes makes it hard for me to read short story collections. But I feel like with these, I don't need that. Like, I'm really interested in what Ito has to offer me next. I want to see it. I want to read it. And his imagery is just so great. His artwork, I should say, it's not really imagery. Fantastic and disgusting and so grody and creepy, and what a great collection. So those are a few things I would definitely recommend for your October. Books that can be read quickly, books that I enjoyed, and maybe you could add them to your TBR, you know, if you have them sitting on your shelf, if you can rent them from your library, get an audiobook maybe. Oh, an audiobook's even better. You get through that thing in hours, you know? I hope I could recommend something good for you this Halloween season. That is all I have for you though. Make sure you check out my link tree with all my links to my social media, my Pango, affiliate links, things like that. That's all I have for you today though. Thank you so much for watching.